Alright guys, we're going to go over the problems that we did during class. So if you can't remember what you got or how you got it, this video will help. So we're going to prove the Pythagorean Theorem. So what that means is, first we need to know the Pythagorean Theorem. So if you recall, the Pythagorean Theorem is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And C is always the longest side and the largest number. So if you are given numbers or a triangle, you can know that the longest side is the largest number. So to recap, here is the triangle. It states A and B and C. C is the longest side. Let's test number 1 and see if it's a right triangle. We need to prove with the Pythagorean theorem if this is indeed a right triangle. So there's a couple things you can do. You can draw the triangle, and I know that the longest side is 7 because that is my largest number. Therefore, it is C, which is also known as the hypotenuse. So I know that this is my C, so my longest side is going to be 7. And you can choose whichever one you want to be A or B. If you like to go in order, you can have this as A and this is B. So at 5 and 6. I need to prove if this is a right triangle or not. I need to use the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Now I know what each of my letters are, so I'm going to plug them in. So for my A, I have 5 squared plus my B, which is 6 squared. And my C, I know is the largest side, and that is 7 squared. Now if you look at this, yes, 5 plus 6 does not equal 7. But what you need to keep in mind is A squared. So 5 squared plus a 6 squared hopefully will give me 7 squared. Now I know that 5 squared, that means 5 times 5 is going to give me 25. 6 squared is 6 times 6. That's what the squared means. This tells me I need to multiply 2 6s together. That'll give me 36. 7 squared is going to be 7 times 7, which is going to give me 49. Now, it states that A squared plus B squared should equal C squared in order to be a right triangle. So I need to add the 25 and the 36 together to see if I get 49. So I'm going to do off to the side, 25 plus 36 is going to give me 61. Oh no, is 61 equal to 49? No, not at all. So in math, to show that a statement is not true, we put a slash through the equal sign. This says 61 does not equal 49, which is a true statement. So in order to justify my answer, I know that this is not a right triangle, because that is what we are proving with this Pythagorean theorem. Not a right triangle, because 61 doesn't equal 49. Or you can write it as 61 does not equal 49. Okay, take a moment and pause it if need be. Let's move on to the next one. So this one down here states 8, 9, and 12. My largest side, always C, largest number. I know that this is instantly C. Now I can keep them in order and say that this is A and this is B. It doesn't necessarily matter because in the end, you're going to add them together and see if it equals C.
So I'm going to say that my 9 is my A and my B is 8. So my formula again is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I know my A, right here, I said it was 9. You could have it as 8. It doesn't necessarily matter. My B, I said is 8. So that's 8 squared. But what definitely I know is that 12 is my C squared, because that's the largest number. And it's going to be the longest side when I draw a triangle. Okay? So now I have 9 squared, which is 9 times 9, which is 81. Plus, what is 8 squared? What's 8 times 8? 64. And 12 squared is going to give me 144. If you don't know these, you can write them off to the side and say what 12 times 12 is and solve it out. It's completely up to you. What I did, the same one with the last one, I added my A squared and my B squared together to see if it equaled my C squared. So I need to add 81 plus 64 and see if I can get 144 or not. Oh no, we don't have a right triangle again. Darn it. I have 145 equals 144. So is this a right triangle? Nope. So we're going to put a box around it, and we're going to put a slash through the equal sign, saying that this is not a true statement. So to justify my answer, I'm going to say not a right triangle, because 145 does not equal 144, thus proving it's not a right triangle. So if it's not a right triangle, you can't draw a 90-degree square to say that it's a right triangle, because it's not. Let's move on to the graphing one below. All right, so this is a lot of wording, and it is completely fine. All it's saying is you are playing capture the flag. You are 50 yards north and 20 yards east of your team's base. The other team's base is 80 yards north and 60 yards east of your base. How far are you from the other team's base? So you'll have similar questions to these on your PFA, your power focus area. So it says draw the situation in the coordinate plane. Let the origin represent your team's base. So the origin is right here, the center. 0, 0 is the origin. Okay? So from that distance, you are 20, 50. Remember that x is first, the x-axis, and y is second. So x and y. So I need to go over 20 and all the way up to 50 and put a dot. These are already here for you. So the second says, and the other team's base is 60, so I need to go over 60 on the x-axis and up to 80 and put a dot. There's my other base. Draw a right triangle with the hypotenuse that represents the distance between you and the other team's base. So I'm going to draw a straight line from my base to from me to the other person's base. The lengths of the legs, they already told you, are 30 yards and 40 yards. So those are my A and my B. I need to find C, the hypotenuse, which is from me straight across to the other base. If I was just going to run instead of running left and then up. Or sorry, right and then up. So how you do this, if you have just a line here on your PFA, it'll only give you a line. What you need to do is draw a triangle with it. So go straight over and then draw straight down from that one until both of those hit. The reason it's 40 yards is because each of these increments are 10. So I know I have 4 boxes from here to here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 40 yards. For the other one, it already states that it's 30 yards. Because each of these on the y-axis are counting by 10, I have 3 boxes, 1, 2, 3, on the side. Therefore, they're each 10, so it's 30 yards. So my last step, again, it sometimes won't even show you how to draw a triangle. It'll assume that you know how to do a triangle on a coordinate plane. So don't freak out. We're going to go over it next week. So we're going to use the Pythagorean Theorem to find the lengths of the hypotenuse. So I first need to know my formula. A squared plus b squared equals my c squared. I already know my a, which is 30 yards. So 30 squared plus my b, which is 40 yards. And if you put 40 and then 30, that's fine too. Remember, you're just adding them together to see if it equals c squared. Since I don't know from me to the other base, I'm just going to leave it as c squared because I need to solve for it. So now you're going to do 30 squared, so 30 times 30, which is going to give you 900. So 30 times itself is 900. Plus 40 times 40. There's also another trick that you can use, especially if it's 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, any number with a 0 at the end. Figure out what the front number is. So this is a 4. 4 squared is 16. And then I would add 2 zeros. It's another helpful trick for you. Or you could do the math off to the side, double check. Completely up to you. So now I still don't know what my c squared is, so I'm going to bring it down again. The next step you need to do is add your a and b, because we need to figure out what c is. So I'm going to add 1600 plus 900, which gives me 2,500, or 2,500. So now I still have not done anything to this c. Bring it down one last time, because now we're going to solve for c. I need to get this squared exponent, this exponent to the power of 2, away from the c to solve. The one thing, the biggest thing you need to write on your paper is any number the opposite of a number squared. Can you take a guess? What would be the opposite? You guys have learned it before. Yep, a square root. That square root undoes this squared number, and vice versa. They work both ways. So the opposite of a number squared, any number, letter, anything, so in this case c, the opposite of c squared is I'm going to put a square root symbol around the c. What I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if you recall, square roots, it's not, divide 2,500 by 2. What you need to figure out, and you can use a calculator for super large numbers, is what number multiplied by itself is going to give me 2,500. One trick that we learned from up here is that 4 times 4 was 16, and I added 2 zeros. So the square root of 25, I instantly know is 5. And if I want 2 zeros, I'm going to have to put a 0 after it. So sometimes it won't be that simple, but you can easily use a calculator to figure it out too. So this is 50 yards. Since it gave me what the measurement was, I need to keep the measurement with what it was. So now go on to Khan Academy and practice.